So let's go ahead and get into it. 5 reasons to be excited about Auburn football in 2022. First reason, for the first time since 2016, Auburn has a legitimate quarterback battle. And you could take the 2016 part of that however you want, but the Tigers actually have a serious quarterback battle on their hands for the first time in a while. This isn't Bo Nix versus Malik Willis. This isn't Sean White versus Jarrett Stidham. This is a legitimate quarterback battle. TJ Finley is the incumbent. Zach Calzada is likely the favorite. I would assume that most fans would agree that Zach Calzada is the favorite to win the job, but he's not healthy right now, not going to be able to participate to the fullest extent in spring. And then let's see, Robby Ashford, the transfer from Oregon, he's competing in the competition as well. And then Holden Garner, the true freshman. I would argue that Robby Ashford's the dark horse of this group. Obviously, the one that kind of stands out. I mean, you've got Finley and Calzada as the front runners, and then you've got Holden Garner, who is kind of out of the picture, but he's being included. He's being included in the battle. But Robby Ashford, I think, is the most interesting guy out of this quarterback battle, and this should be exciting for fans for a couple reasons. This entire competition. First of all, I think it's worthy of noting that there's significant depth in the quarterback room. I mean, the top 2 guys have legitimate SEC experience. They've both played at SEC schools, one of them for an entire season, one of them 5 games at LSU, a few games here at Auburn. And all 4 of these different guys in the room have legitimate SEC experience, or 2 of these guys have legitimate SEC experience. And then on top of that, all of them have different traits that are likable and desirable. TJ Finley looks like Ben Roethlisberger in the pocket, very, very strong arm. I think his decision-making overall is sound. He just needs to work on his accuracy a little bit. Robby Ashford, probably the dual threat of this group, also has a very, very strong arm and not afraid to challenge tight windows. Holden Garner would probably work very, very well in a system that revolves around the short and intermediate passing game, which Auburn is going to have moving forward. And then Zach Calzada, a little bit of a gunslinger, a very, very gritty type of player. We got to see that on full display against the Crimson Tide last season. It's a very exciting quarterback battle, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the way it plays out. The second reason to be excited about Auburn football in 2022, Auburn's forming an identity on offense, or at least they're going to attempt to. They're making a clear attempt to. Since 2018, the Tigers have really struggled to find any sort of rhythm or identity on the offensive side of the ball, and last season certainly was no exception. Auburn came into the season saying that they wanted to control the pace of the game. They wanted to be able to establish the run, and they ended up throwing a lot because that was what Mike Bobo, the offensive coordinator, wanted to do, and that's what Auburn ended up doing. But Bryan Harsin wants to have an offense that features a physical rushing attack that controls the game and then eventually wears down the opponents. And I think Auburn's going to attempt to do that. I think it's very clear what Auburn's identity this season wants to be. And I believe they're going to eventually form that as the season goes on. The third reason to be excited about Auburn football in 2022, the defense is going to be very, very solid. I mentioned it on yesterday's show. ESPN put out their S&P ratings just a couple of weeks ago. Auburn's defense currently rated 14th in the country. It's going to be a very, very solid unit. Auburn's defense marginally improved last season after it suffered in Kevin Steele's last year on the Plains in 2020. The defensive line has some excellent edge rushers, and we're going to actually get to that in our conversation with Zach Blackerby later on in the show. But Derek Hall, Eku Leota, Colby Wooden, and then guys like Jason Jones and Jeffrey Imba in the interior to bolster the depth. They've got some really, really solid guys on the defensive line. I think this unit is going to get pressure a lot this season. I think it's going to be a focal point. It's going to be something that people are talking about. And then also the linebackers are going to be interesting. Owen Papo is going to be back from injury. Hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood. North Carolina transfer Eugene Asante is also going to be there as well. The Tigers have a very solid front seven. There's speed, there's IQ. I think there's reason to believe that this front seven, this unit is going to be nasty. And the defensive backfield, they might have lost Roger McCreary, the All-American cornerback, There's still some really interesting names to look out for. Donovan Kaufman, we'll get to see how he develops. Austin Osbury will get looks at nickel. Cornerbacks loaded. They've got Jalen Simpson, Keontae Scott, Nehemiah Pritchett, DJ James, JD Rim. A lot of different names there I'm really excited about. Specifically, I'm hype about Keontae Scott. Very, very excited about him. Number one JUCO in the corner in the nation. I'm excited about all of these guys. I think all of them will be able to contribute. And much like the quarterback position, there's a little bit of depth, and there's going to be a lot of competition. I'm interested to see how this plays out. It's another reason why you should be excited about Auburn football in 2022. The fourth reason, talked about this on yesterday's show. Auburn's schedule, in my opinion, sets up really, really well. They've got their first 5 games at home, and the competition ramps up in difficulty. So Auburn gets to ease their quarterback of choice into a season with 5 straight home environments. And every single time they add on a little bit more difficulty. It's like playing a video game and leveling up. You get to progress and you get to have more and more challenge as the game progresses, but also you get to learn new things. So, and I think that Auburn's quarterback of choice are going to get to play Mercer. Then they're going to get to play San Jose State. And then I believe they'll be ready for the big challenge against Penn State at home. That's a 50-50 matchup there. You play Missouri, and then you play LSU, who I think is the most difficult team out of that 5-game stretch. And then after that, obviously, you've got Georgia, you've got Ole Miss on the road, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Western Kentucky, Alabama. The schedule becomes increasingly difficult, obviously, as you wade into a conference play. But I'm really excited about the way this schedule sets up. I think that it's very ideal for a team that doesn't know who their quarterback's going to be. That's another reason to be excited. And then the final reason, Bryan Harsin has experience. We touched on this a little bit during our conversation with Zach Blackerby coming up. I'm really excited to see Harsin in year 2. Now that he's gotten to see what the SEC has to offer, he'll be able to adjust in areas where things went wrong last season. He'll be able to make improvements this year. And I think he's going to be able to correct some of the mistakes that we were talking about yesterday when we were talking about expectations for Auburn football, talked about some of the weird play calling, talked about some of the weird timing on trick plays, just questionable decision-making overall. I think he is not, I doubt he makes those same mistakes again in 2022, or at least all of them. And then also something to keep in mind, he's piloting the offense now. And I'm really excited to see what that looks like. Fans are hopefully going to get to see Tank Bigsby in full effect. They're going to get to see the ground game go. They're going to get to see Jarquez Hunter whenever he comes back from injury. He's going to be fully healthy in the fall. We're going to get to see him continue to develop. And then I think the most important thing is I think Harsin will understand this season to how to use the run game in full effect in situations where Auburn needs to utilize it. Auburn's going to be able to operate with a chance to fix mistakes after such a hot start last season. I'm very, very excited about Harsin adjusting because I believe that he will. I think he's a good coach. So those are my 5 reasons to be excited about Auburn football in 2022. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, want to leave a comment as to what you're excited about with Auburn football in 2022. Would love to hear your thoughts.